quick introduction about the company first, that you get a bit of context. I'm going to keep that very short. So Altana is a true specialty chemicals company. Altana is only the holding company, the 4 divisions below there. Every chemist would probably know better than the Altana brand itself. 3 billion in revenue. The oldest division is BYK, with providing additives for other people's formulated chemistry. Eckert with pigments, and then formulated chemistry in Elantas and Actega. In one case in basically electronics applications, in the other case in packaging applications. And we have a truly global setup. We serve our customers where they are. Our revenue is sort of evenly distributed between 1/3 in the Americas, 1/3 in Europe, and 1/3 in Asia. Obviously, we enjoy most growth in Asia and especially in China. We do have a sort of a real standing commitment to invest in innovation. So if you look at the 6 to 8% of revenue we actually spend every year in innovation, that is above the average of the chemical industry, also above the average of the specialty chemicals. So we take that very seriously, and basically 1 out of 6 people in our company work in a lab. So we are here for the topic decarbonization. We actually have a very strong commitment to drive down our CO2 footprint as well. So we already came a long path from, let's say, the last 10 years. We drove down our scope 1 and 2 emissions. That is the things that you can influence yourself, basically, almost by 75%. So obviously, there's some road to go still, and there will be some road that we can't basically, that we have to offset with other means. The point is, there's a lot of technology development and innovation needed to really get there. And how do we do that? I will talk a bit about our corporate venturing, basically idea, which is not novel. It's done in the industry. So Lili from BASF is here. We have a long time together, also here with CM Ventures in my previous role. We have a healthy balance sheet, so we buy companies. We have excellent R&D capacity, so we build our own R&D strength into the topics that we know we can make a difference. But what do you do if you have an emerging market and a technology that's not yet developed? So this is basically where corporate venturing gets an old established company closer to basically startup partnerships. And we're trying basically being the interface. We established a relevant deal flow on paper. We look at thousands of companies every year. We discuss about 200 opportunities with our colleagues in the businesses in R&D, and about 30 to 40 we actually cooperate or start to cooperate every year, which means we sign an NDA, we start testing material in the lab, and then we see how it goes. So now if we have a topic that for us could build a very relevant strategic new business, then we also support that with minority investments. And I will give you a couple of examples how we basically boost innovation with the help of partnering with startups. So 2017, Altana invested in a company called DP Polar in Germany. And the idea of the founder back then was this, the first version of the printer was 2.5 meters in diameter, so he wanted to basically bring 3D printing to additive manufacturing scale. So it's a rotating platform. The print heads are actually aligned on an arm above the platform, and while building or using that huge build space, the platform goes down and the parts get bigger and bigger, and there's an automated feeding system for new trays and also an extraction system for basically printed parts. Now, for Altana, that was a very good opportunity because that was an inkjet platform to develop new, basically jettable 3D printing materials. This was the cooperation idea, and that started out with an exclusive partnership, which over the years became then more open. the startup used other material. Our Altana colleagues served other printer platforms as well. But in the end, the printing startup was acquired by 3D Systems in 22. And the Cubic Ink platform, we call it, this is our corporate innovation platform that now in this year, it hosts about 20 full-time equivalents. It will be the first year where they have a million in revenue. And so this is just an example. They wouldn't have gone there alone. You need that kind of interaction with the new technology in the beginning and to stand on your own feet laterwards. And now it's sort of, it's not yet mature, but it's also already on production scale. They deliver products to customers globally. And this is one of our examples how an interaction, a partnership with a startup worked out for us, both on the financial side of the investment and on the corporate innovation side, for basically being able to bring new products into a new market where we actually could use the competence from across all our divisions. You can use pigments from Eckert, you can use additives from Bück. It's all that know-how, also the coating and resin systems from the other two divisions. All that know-how is basically in that platform, and this is why we put it on an corporate innovation level. Here's another example. And again, why is it strategic for us? The background, Elanta's biggest product line is wire enamels, basically the first insulating part on a copper wire for an electric motor, for example. And they have more than half of the world's material comes from Elantas. It's a very traditional application. It's solvent-based thermosetting chemistry. And now there's that startup that started in Turin, Tau. They have a process where they don't depend on the reaction energy of burning the solvent, so they can coat a wire, also a rectangular wire, very uniformly with either thermoplastic material. Nowadays they use PEEK, but there's also a joint development with Elantas to get to a reactive chemistry without solvent. Basically, the idea of Elantas is having a startup cooperation with an accelerated testing of their new products to disrupt themselves before anyone else is doing it. The startup currently is in very good shape. They have their first commercial contracts with globally operating OEM. And they're currently scaling in the US, which might be a bit of a challenge currently, but we'll see how that goes. Here's another example from our Elantas division. So Elantas themselves have a printed electronics platform, so they develop inks for printed electronics. And so in Eastern Germany, we sort of connected to a startup that by chance had something like a complementary portfolio of inks that there wasn't much overlap. So we thought it was a very good idea to see if we get those two parties a bit closer together. They do things like, for example, I mean, they don't sell a single ink for printed electronics, they still sell ink systems. For example, everything you need to print a battery, everything you need to print a sensor. And they do a bit of electronics design around things that basically a materials company wouldn't voluntarily do themselves. So they go that extra step, and so currently we have an exclusive agreement in Europe, but this is about to change in the future, I guess. But it was a good start and a good opportunity for our internal effort and also for the startup to join forces. And they're in the market together on trade fairs already since 2 years now. Another example now from BYK, this is our additives company. That was our last investment in Finland. Nordtreat produces wood coatings that are fire retardant, and the fire retardant mechanism is bio-based, and when you burn it, it's no more toxic than the wood you burn. So they have a nice sustainability story to tell. And I mean, in Finland, if you go to downtown Helsinki, you see a couple of wooden facades that are coated with their product. Then they now have a good contract with the London Metro, actually. Every wood construction, be it on the outside or inside of a metro station, they are now basically already specified for that. And we hope that wood as a sustainable construction material will grow more and more. And the strategic idea behind for us is basically to co-develop their technology into an additive. Maybe not with the same kind of fire retardant potency than they do in the coating. Basically, the additive sold via BÜK would be to their competitors, but just basically to develop the market, because if you want the top-notch fire retardant stuff, then you still have to buy it from the coating from Nordstreet. So also here, you see, we have a strategic market idea behind it. We leverage the technical competence that is both in the startup and already available in one of our divisions. And also that is something we then basically support with an investment. There are, I had it on a previous slide, 10 to 15 corporations that we're in parallel trying out all the time. That can also lead to a commercial product, but it doesn't have to be an investment all the time, right? If we're having a commercial relationship, we can become customer of the startup, could be the other way around, we can do a joint development. In the end, if the startup is already producing revenue, we also buy companies. So it's the entire spectrum, and this is basically how we tackle the process. We're looking for new things for us. This is new technologies, new business model, something that changes the value chain somehow. What we bring is basically everything what a big company has and a startup usually hasn't. So yes, we have our own technology capabilities. We do have the global scale, and we can help with regulatory and other stuff that a startup usually struggles to build by themselves from scratch. And I talked about the investment criteria. Usually, we were very careful to invest because we only do this for very strategic opportunities. But if we do it, we need to have that strategic relationship, and we will only do minority investments. Well, with that, I think I'm well in the time limit now. So I thank you very much. Thanks for having me.